Good morning, everybody. Salute to start the week, Sammy, United People's TV. How did everybody get on this weekend? What did you get up to? Did you have fun? No football this coming weekend either. The international break is a long one, this one. United aren't playing until Monday night against Everton, 8 p.m. We'll be there. But let's run through a complete roundup of what happened at the weekend. All the internationals will speak about Carlos Baleba from Fabrizio Romano, Elliot Anderson. We'll speak about Cobby. We'll speak about Xerxes. We'll speak about, as I said, all the internationals. Just a full roundup. What videos would you like to see this week? You can let me know in the chat as well. I've got some ideas. We'll see. Let's say hello to everybody. Let's get on with today's show. Good morning to you, Steph and Alex and Carl as well. Some mods out. Hopefully keeping the chat nice and civil. Not always the case. It is what it is. Chris, good morning to you. General 786, got Bobby Harwood. We've got some non-members too. Carrick fan, we've got Ashwin. Got Sandcaster watching from Northwest America. I was trying to think of what's Northwest. Is that Washington? Is it Washington? I think it is. Hello, everybody. Kevin watching from Lakeland, Florida. Usual suspects lurking. Yeah, Troy Parrott, bloody hell. That was a madness. Any Irish fans down here? You're probably still hungover. Well, let's be totally honest. I'm guessing that puts Troy Parrott like right down there in like never forgetting that status for all the Irish fans. What does that mean now, by the way? Does that mean that Ireland go into a qualifier? And is it just a straight one game win and you go to the World Cup now? And if it is, who are they playing? I don't actually know that. I think that's going to be the case. Alan, good morning to you, my man. Good morning to the whole community. As always, Alex and Maddie, if you're here in the chat, Alex, I can see you down there. We'll be having a chat this week, getting a catch-up. I was thinking, right, I'll ask you now. What do you think we should do decoration-wise for Christmas? I was thinking you could definitely do some like Christmas lights on the lighting. Might get some tinsel in here. I'll definitely get a tree up. We were thinking we're starting talking about the like the Advent calendar giveaway. Remember the Cantonar box that we had? I'd like to do that. As apparently the draw's not happened yet for Ireland. Yeah, Haaland for Norway. What is it? I think Haaland equaled Lewandowski's record of like 18 goals, I think, in a European qualifying campaign. Brian's saying it's 2 games last week of March. So draw's not happened yet. We'll find out. Now, I want to quickly start today's show by talking about this. I can't remember if we had a chat about it. Obviously, United have got a newly refurbished Carrington, the 50 mil investment. And it's something that the club massively needed. And the club have now announced, well, they announced it a couple of weeks ago, but I think you can actually now go and book the tours. United are offering tours of Carrington for the princely sum of £100. And I wanted to ask your opinion on, I mean, let's be honest, charging an adult the same as a kid in anything you do really is just a bit weird. But like, what's your take on this? Do you see this as like nothing more than a horrible money grab by United? I'd be pretty interested to go and see Carrington. I think I'd like to do it. But £100 just seems, I don't know. I suppose it's not just £100 to tour Carrington. It's £100 for, I think you go to Old Trafford, you go to the museum, and then you get a coach, and then the coach goes from there to Carrington. It feels, I suppose it's probably the price a little bit, because I would actually quite enjoy it. I remember when I went to see, I can't remember who I won it through. It was when Louis van Gaal was manager. I went to go and I met the whole squad. And Daley Blind was there, Wan Mata, Rooney, Van Gaal. There's a really weird photo of me. I was not wearing some good clobber. I'll tell you that. Kari saying, I'd love to do it. Also includes an Old Trafford tour. Bucket list items for you. Good idea, but too expensive, says Louis. It's not bad if you get to meet some of the players. I doubt very much you get to meet some of the players. If you look at how many bloody tours they're doing, it's like a tour every 15 minutes. I don't think I actually disagree with the idea of doing tours of Carrington. But I suppose the price just feels a bit much. I'll try and find that picture room, and I've no idea where it is. Where would it be? I think I accidentally deleted my old photos from Dropbox. I think it was on there. Oh, well, might not see it. Right, let's run through all of it. Oh, yeah, to be fair, actually, Sam, you're right. The dates do start in June, so it's going to be when the players aren't even there. Anyway, I thought I mentioned that to start the show. Let's speak about the internationals. Let's go for a full roundup. Another cracking weekend for Casemiro. Started against, was it Senegal? At the Emirates. We mentioned this last week. It's good that Brazil's 2 internationals this time around were in the UK and France rather than Japan or whatever it was. It was Asia that they travelled to last time. Casemiro, cracking goal. I'm not sure who crossed it into him, but it was him at the back stick, one touch from a free kick and just bent one into the corner. Ancelotti speaking after the game about how important Casemiro is to the Brazil team. And yeah, he's in some run of form now. How long has this form been now for Casemiro? It feels like a couple of months now. I would only be saying he's becoming himself lately. Casemiro's goal threat has definitely got bigger as he's got older. Is that the right way to describe it? Like he's finding himself in positions far closer to the goal than he probably would have during his pomp at Real Madrid. And that's a really good example of it there. Whether it was his header away at Nottingham Forest, his goal involvements for United have become... You would argue it's probably not the most important thing for a central midfielder, but he just seems to be getting around a lot. And I mean that in a complimentary way. So another good international break for Casemiro, as well as Bruno. So Bruno missed the Portugal game. Was it against Ireland? They lost 2-0. Missed that with a 1-game suspension. Came back against Armenia. Well, I think it's fair to say that Portugal had a good time. Bruno grabbed himself a hat-trick, and I think he got 2 assists as well. As well as João Neves. Bar humbug. That's the only way you can use to describe that. I don't think that United were... I'm trying to rewind to when we signed Ugarte from PSG. I don't think United were ever at that point in time actively pushing for him. Not because I don't think we wanted him. I don't think that we really could offer him what he wanted at that point in his time to move. He obviously went to PSG. Well, he won the treble there, so I think he made the right decision. What could have been João Neves and Bruno at United? Why? Someone down there saying Portugal far better without Ronaldo. You can't say that because Ronaldo stands might get up in your grill. But they are. And they were at the Euros. And they will be at the World Cup. Using correctly. But Ronaldo won't ever sort of accept that role. So, unlucky Portugal. You can deal with that. Johnny saying Casemiro settled, wants to stay. No. I did my video on Casemiro, on Maguire. Did I really focus on that video from a footballing perspective? The idea that I didn't want either of them getting their contracts renewed. I didn't think it would be the smartest use of investment. I didn't think it would be the smartest, in terms of the squad building perspective this summer. I stand by what I said. Can I see more and more value now in the idea of... I don't know how to correctly phrase this either. If Casemiro stayed next season, I would mainly be wanting Casemiro to stay more as a mentor, more as a guide to steer whoever we signed through their first season in a Manchester United shirt. That's the reason I would keep Casemiro. I wouldn't keep him next season and expect him to start 20, 30 games for United in the Premier League. But the way that he is playing, I've already said this before as well. Let's see what goes on after the World Cup. You could find that after that, a little bit of drive leaves Casemiro. simply because, well, he's done it all. Dan's, you want to keep his experience. Someone down there saying you'd like to rebuild the midfield next summer, and that repurposing of Casemiro's wages, for me, is quite a big part of that squad rebuild, the midfield rebuild. And Greg, like, it is, that's the thing that I keep replaying in my head when it comes to Casemiro and like anything that he's doing form-wise and all that jazz, right? He'd have to take a 50% plus wage cut at Manchester United to be sort of relative to where he is squad-wise and importance-wise and how much we need to reinvest that money in midfield. I just can't see him doing that. It's not just a little wage cut. It is significant. Now, maybe he and his family feel more settled in Manchester than I give it credit for, and I won't know that information. So maybe he would rather stay at United on 50% less wages because he gets to stay in Manchester. I don't know. I don't know what the driver is going to be for Casemiro. And I think that's the question that we can't answer. What is it that's going to drive Casemiro next? Is it going to be the money? Is it going to be what country he's playing in? Is it going to be the competitions he's playing in? Or is it going to be his family? I think he goes out to Miami quite often. I don't know. Richard, you saying if Casemiro stays, does Maguire also? Look, both of them maybe. I've made my opinion clear on both. I think United should be moving them on. We'll find out. Chippy saying if we get into Europa, we need to give him a 25% increase on wages. Well, if we get into, not Europa, sorry, I've read that wrong. You mean Europe, Champions League. That goes up 25%, of course. What's saying down there? Even if you halved his wages, he'd still be on too much. But he'd still be on a lot. Either way, good international breaks for both Casemiro and Bruno. Hat-trick for Bruno. Goal for Casemiro. No injuries. Lovely. Also good to see Mazraoui get some minutes because, was it Spurs? I think it was Spurs because he then got taken off for Šeško and then Ahmad got put into the right wing-back spot. Mazraoui looked rusty against Spurs. He very much looked like a player who had been injured and who hadn't played that much football this season. I suppose, is this more what we expected from Mazraoui last season and then we were pleasantly surprised with how much football he played? Maybe. I suppose I just randomly thought of that. But what we're seeing so far this season with, in and out and looking good and is kind of what I was expecting from Mazraoui last season. But he got 82 minutes for Morocco, and that can only be a good thing because it's just going to be time, really, until he gets back up to speed. I don't know how many games he's going to be playing. Anyway, De Ligt, naturally, was an unused sub for the Netherlands. It's kind of what we expected. He was in the squad, which is a step in the right direction, but Koeman still isn't starting him. No surprises there. I think it was Ahmad next. Got some more minutes. Good. They lost to Saudi. Matt, you're saying I don't like seeing him at right wing back. I'm guessing you're talking about Mazraoui. You know full well where I think his best position is. It's right centre back. Wide right centre back. That's the best position for Mazraoui. It's also been the best position for segue. Yoro. Got himself another 90 minutes for the French under-21 squad. But yeah, I don't see Mazraoui having anywhere near as much impact on United's season this season compared to last season. Yep, Sekou Kane did come off the bench for Mali as well. Forgot to bring up a photo of that. But good to see him get some minutes for Mali. Yeah, I can't see Mazraoui having, and I don't mean this in a horrible way, but I don't think I think his position in the squad has changed. He was a starter when fit last season. I don't think he's a starter when fit this season. Not with Ahmad coming in at right wing back, playing there far more often, and Lenny Yoro rightly being preferred as a right-sided centre-back. Right, as I said, there's loads of internationals to run through, still going through the news. Shea Lacey scored his first goal for the England under-20 squad. We've been speaking about milestones for this lad, and He'll definitely be enjoying this season. Training with the first team, training with the England first team, scoring his first goal for the under-20s. I still don't know whether we're going to be seeing him in a first-team matchday squad. You might see that. And maybe AFCON will be when that happens. But good to see him score his first goal there. And some good news here that this is something we've waited a long time for. And I'm glad that United didn't rush or push him back in for the Spurs game, even though he probably would have been like, yeah, I'm sweet, I'm sound, I'm fit to play. He went out with Argentina for the international break. And it's a little bit like when Martinez went with the United squad for the preseason tour of America. There wasn't really ever an intention of him playing for United, especially not that early in the rehab, but simply being in and around his teammates and the environment should help him. He's gone off with Argentina, and Fabrizio saying that he is ready to be available for United after the break. Will his first game back be straight in the starting 11 to face Everton? I don't think so. I can't imagine the first minutes we see from Martinez are from a starting 11 perspective. Probably nor do I think they should be. I imagine what you're likely to see against Everton is Luke Shaw start and Martinez come on. I suppose it depends on what the game state is, etc. But you're probably going to see him getting like the last 15, 20 minutes. Greg is saying, is Mazraoui capable of covering Luke Shaw's position? I think Mazraoui would probably play any defensive position you asked him to. Do I think that he would be good as a left-sided centre-back? I think he'd be a little bit more awkward. I think that kind of goes without saying. I'd much rather see Martinez playing there. Where do we play Everton? Old Trafford. Last time we played Everton at Old Trafford under Ruben Amorim, you'll remember, we won 4-0. Yes, please. I would take one of those. Chris is saying just ease him in slowly. I think he will be easy. He definitely will be eased in slowly. That's kind of what the whole rehab process has been thus far. But that's kind of the internationals roundup. I forgot to look at who else is playing. Who else is playing the next couple of days? Let's have a quick look. Any more games coming up? I mean, I know there's more games. Germany, Slovakia got a full round. Netherlands are playing tonight against Lithuania. You didn't get to see what's his face? Seny Le Mans didn't make his debut for Belgium. Gibraltar might see a cheeky James Scanlon. I think James Scanlon got an assist against Montenegro, didn't he? Yeah, he did. No, I'm not watching Baller League. Thank you. Back down here. More World Cup qualifiers. Slovenia, Greece, Scotland, Denmark. Spain, Turkey. Yeah, there's some more games. Who cares? We'll run through those tomorrow. Let's speak about this. I'm just going to ask you, because we did this over the weekend on socials. If you could choose two of these midfielders, which two would you choose? That could be either signing one in January or one in the summer or both in the summer. I don't know. That doesn't really matter. But if you could choose two of those, which one would you choose? I think I know. I pretty much know. Do I know who the two would be? Maybe I don't. I have no idea. Zenzi, you're saying Baleba and Wharton. Ruman, you're saying Wharton and Anderson. Rev, you're saying Anderson and Stiller. Baleba and Anderson. Unfortunately, we couldn't do a poll on this one because there's too many options. Greece, you're saying Anderson and Wharton. Baleba and Wharton. And there's more options. There's more than I thought would be going down there. But anyway, let's run through what Fabrizio has said on Carlos Baleba, because that was the big name in the summer. Have things changed? Elliot Anderson's come into the picture where I don't think he was before. And not that he was completely out of the picture before, but the season of development that he's having, he's come into the spotlight a lot more and into the England team. But this is what Fabrizio is saying on Carlos Baleba, right?
Here on the channel, I told you, Man United want Carlos Baleba. Baleba wants to go to Man United. Man United want Baleba. The conversation with the player and his agent is very good, but Brighton at that time, August, didn't want to sell the player. In January, is likely to be a difficult deal, the Baleba one, because Brighton insists on not selling the player. But for the summer, unless the stance change for January, we have to see what happens. But for the summer, let's say for 2026, for sure, Manchester United see Carlos Baleba as a priority target.
So that is Fabrizio just sort of reaffirming what we knew in the summer and what we didn't know whether that would shift. He's saying that Baleba still remains a priority. And I just kind of wanted to get your take on that. Something that would, I think, play into United's hands now. Cameroon aren't going to the World Cup. Neither are Nigeria, by the way. But there's no World Cup conversations to be having about Baleba. No, will his price go up, etc., etc. So that should, I suppose, give United a little bit of an advantage. We already know about the season he is having, and that's where so many concerns now exist. John, you're saying Anderson all day over Baleba. I mean, I think, would I choose those two? Because Adam Wharton was my ideal target going into the summer. I didn't think we'd be able to afford him, but he was my ideal target. It feels like my opinion kind of shifts a little bit on this one. I think Elliot Anderson is the one that I've, like, if I was going to choose one, I would choose Elliot Anderson right now. So I think he's the best blend of all of them. Let me see what you're saying down here. Daz, you're worried about him? Yeah, I've already covered all of that. And I think, I'll be honest, I think we all kind of should have some concerns about Baleba. You're allowed to be concerned about a player and the form that he's going through without thinking he's a complete write-off. I know that nuanced conversation and debate doesn't really exist too much in online discourse around football. It's either one extreme or the other. But you're allowed to have concerns about Baleba's season so far. And I think if you didn't have any concerns, that would be even more concerning. Danny saying any player can have a bad season. Getting Elliot Anderson is just buying a player for next season. He could be bad too. I mean, I suppose that's technically how it works. Can we get Tonali and Anderson? Yeah, Tonali would have been a class signing. Well, I would have got screwed over with the old betting scandal. But Elliot Anderson is definitely where I think the majority of the conversation. Do I think Elliot Anderson is flavour of the month right now? I think that would be an unfair way to describe him. Is there definitely more coverage around Elliot Anderson over the last month? Yeah. Not just because of how he played against United, but I think that was quite an important game. And that came the week after we played Brighton and Baleba at Old Trafford. And it's pretty fair to say that Baleba didn't pass his debut. Not his debut. His audition at Old Trafford. Whereas Anderson was fantastic for Forest. And he's starting for England now. And if we're talking about the complete opposite, we're talking about how Carlos Baleba's not at the World Cup with Cameroon, and that should help United with the price. Well, it's not as if Thomas Tuchel is hiding who the first choice midfielders are for England. Oh. Turn that off mute. Oh. I just turned it off mute. Come on. Third time lucky. Elliot. Oh, Jesus, Thomas, you're too loud, mate. Every one of these videos is so annoying. They've all got different volumes. Right.
And Declan are at the moment ahead.
Right. Should we start it this time? Bloody hell. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, you're very right. Elliot and Declan are at the moment ahead in midfield. They're a very good pair and they complement each other very well. We are very happy with both of them performing on highest level in club and for us.
So that's Thomas Tuchel confirming the England starting midfield pair right now. Elliot Anderson and Declan Rice. Forest aren't letting him go in January. Like, zero chance. Alan, you're asking what styles in midfield are defensive and creative. I suppose it's got to be a partnership, right? It's got to be a blend. But there's no I think there is a little chance that United could get Baleba in January if we wanted him. But I think there's actually no chance of Elliot Anderson. Do I think it'll be a pointless conversation? Maybe it'll be the same sort of thing as when we went after Baleba in August. Because when we went after Baleba in August, I don't think there was any chance that we were going to sign him. But now we were first in. We showed our interest. And that probably puts us in a prime position now. If we wanted to go after Baleba, maybe the same thing would exist with Anderson. If we really showed our interest and heavy interest first in January, would that give us an advantage come the summer? Maybe, maybe not. Don't quite know. Dad's saying if Anderson has a good World Cup, we're going to have a hard job getting him. Everyone's going to be in for him. We know that. And then leading on from this, about Tuchel saying that Anderson and Rice, top choices, ahead of everyone else. Like, Fabrizio's here saying that Kobe's really interested in joining Napoli on a season-long loan, not season-long loan, on a 6-month loan, straight loan, no buy option, no obligation. How are Napoli getting on the Champions League? How are they even getting on Serie A, actually? They won the title last season, right? Obviously, it was Scott McTominay. Where are they getting on? Oh, that is a toit league. Toit like a toga. 2 points off top after 11 games. So we could go to Napoli and technically feature in a team which is competing for the title and maybe playing Champions League football. And of course, De Bruyne, if I remember correctly, didn't he get injured for like 3 or 4 months? I think he did. And of course, McTominay's at Napoli. Højlund's at Napoli. I know I keep repeating this, but because it's going to be one of the biggest stories going into January, I think United should be loaning Kobe out. If we're not going to play him between now and the end of the season, I don't think we will, loan him out. Don't ruin that relationship with the club. What are we going down there? Shaq saying if we do get Baleba in Jan, he won't be available to play until Feb as he's going to AFCON. Yeah, that's a fair point. I hadn't even thought about that. I suppose it's different now because Cameroon aren't even going to the World Cup. Big up to you, Shax. I think you gifted 5 memberships before. And I forgot. Well, I didn't actually forget. I saw. So I just remembered. But yeah. Fabrizio saying that Baleba still remains a priority. Anderson, he's top choice for England now. No, I don't think anyone's really... Just a random question now. Where do you think Adam Wharton lies in all of this? Like, as far as United are concerned. Because I think Carlos Baleba is really quite obvious in the profile that he is. And I think Elliot Anderson is the blend of both of them. And Adam Wharton is... Hey, well, look, we did our video on Wharton. Or we did our video on all 3 of them, actually, now. And Wharton is like the chief creator of the 3. Probably the best in possession out of the 3. It's not to say that Elliot Anderson's bad, but that's Adam Wharton's greatest strength. And Elliot Anderson is the blend of both. Then you're saying he's just above Baleba. John, you're saying Anderson first, Wharton second, then Baleba third. If Bruno goes, then Wharton definitely, says Giggly. I still feel that there's a possibility Bruno leaves in the summer. I've felt that all season. Someone down there saying, didn't Wharton say he prioritises Liverpool? Did he? I didn't see that. Clowny saying, I feel like we could get him at a bargain price. I don't think there's a chance that any of those 3 players are going to be bargain players. If I was to say the biggest chance United got of a cheap one, it's going to be Carlos Baleba after the season that he has had. because we ruffled the feathers. Adam Morton doesn't go for less than 70. But I don't think there's any. Elliot Anderson will be the most expensive of the three because of what we know is coming up for Elliot Anderson. The World Cup, the way that he's playing at Forest this season, I don't think that's going to go down. I think it's only just going to keep improving. I actually think probably Forest, you'd imagine they'd only keep improving. Yeah, it's not particularly hard considering the season they've had this so far. But Sean Dyche will keep that team up. I think so anyway. So you know full well that Elliot Anderson's stock's only going to keep increasing and increasing. Crystal Palace have had a little bit of a indifferent season. Is that a fair way to describe it? Yeah, I don't think any of those three are going to be bargains. When it comes to bargains, you might have to look elsewhere. And I think it's a good segue for us to get into the second part of this video. And just to cover the two videos I did on Friday and Saturday. Friday, decided to pull the trigger on the Sansoni video. I wanted to do a video. I remember having a chat with the team. I wanted to do a video on this lad like a good while ago. Because I thought it would have been quite interesting to run through a video detailing exactly what he did at Mercedes F1 in terms of the data, in terms of how that data was used, interpreted, and how it helped to improve Mercedes. But we decided not to. However, what we've seen, I think we can see now, is some evidence of that data making a little bit of a difference at United. And that's why we did that video on Sansoni. And following on from that and speaking about bargains. Okay? That's where we had a conversation about Christopher Bell, Keith Smith, Jeremy Jacquet, and a couple of other younger players, because this is all part of the strategy. We know this. And I really do think that this is just going to be a repeated strategy by United for the foreseeable future. I don't see why it should change or why it would change. I think our big signings, we should focus on getting them from the Premier League. And we supplement that by two different types of youth signings. Number one, players like Christian Orozco, Diego Leon, Sekou Kone, 17, 18-year-olds, not really established, cherry-picking the best of academy players who are yet to really taste first-team football. That's one type of young signing. And then you get these types, which are different. Now, Sully, to be fair to Sully, he's obviously got some sources inside the club. But Keith Smith is a player that I don't think we've spoken about much on this channel, but he's certainly a player that I've been speaking about with the team behind the scenes for a while. Because he's not like Christian Orozco. He's not like Diego Leon, somebody who's playing, I suppose Diego Leon was playing first-team football for Cerro Porteño in Paraguay. But Keith Smith's been playing regular Eredivisie football for AZ Alkmaar. Won the UEFA Youth League a few years ago. And you can see the price there. And this is a price that was reiterated by, I think it was Keith Downey from Sky Sports as well. AZ Alkmaar's record transfer. Of course his name isn't pronounced Keys. It was just Keys. Here we go. My God. Can't everyone just be called Steve Smith? Much easier. AZ Alkmaar record transfers. I think it was around about 20-ish million. So look. Most expensive departures. That's not right, is it? That's 101. Why are you showing me the 100th? Oh my God. Damn. Rangers. 25 million euros to AC. That's the most expensive that they've ever had. So if they would want a record deal, it would have to be above that. But the prices, right? 20, 25 mil. Siraj saying we don't want another Donny van der Beek. The reason that Manchester United signed Donny van der Beek was because we took advantage of, was it a release clause? It was a cheaper deal than it should have been. I think it was 40 million. And we signed a player in a position where we didn't really need him. It's kind of a little bit when we signed Kagawa, when we had Rooney. I kind of felt sorry for Kagawa, though. We signed him effectively to be Rooney's replacement, but then Rooney ended up staying, so then Kagawa there had nowhere to break through into the first team. I don't think that we signed Van der Beek to replace Bruno because we were never going to get rid of Bruno, but it was in a position where we didn't particularly need him. But £25 million, and that's what I mean, it's a different style of signing. Younger player, 19, but already established in first-team football. I suppose you could go and compare it more towards a Lenny Yoro style signing. Although Lenny Yoro was actually a little bit less established, but we knew that Real Madrid was sniffing around, so we effectively took the plunge and it paid off. And then on top of that, we're getting linked with other players too. Jeremy Jacquet is somebody who has absolutely established himself for Rennes. Plays centre-back, plays wide centre-back. Very much, again, in the Lenny Yoro category. And then United getting linked with Kalamaita as well. Both of them play for Rennes. Now, he is somebody who's just broken through, signed his first professional contract last year. I already covered this all in the video. I'm just repeating a couple of points in case you didn't watch it. But he's 18. He's breaking through this season. Whereas Jeremy Jacquet is 20. Far more established. But United are, and as we should be really, looking towards a French league. French league, everyone took the piss and said, the French league's a farmers league, this and that. Like the French league now, it feels physically is the closest that you get towards preparing players for maybe what the Premier League is like. And there are a lot of talented young French footballers, or just footballers playing in France. So it's just good to see United are putting in the legwork. And all of this is absolutely being led by Chris Verville. This is part of the strategy. As I said, three types of signings that United will make from now on. Number one, Premier League proven experience quality. It's not to say that we won't sign anybody outside of the Premier League who's experienced, but I think we're just going to focus our big money signings on the Premier League. Then you've got the younger academy-style signings from anywhere around the world, bolstering the academy and maybe players who are just on the verge of maybe breaking through into a first-team environment, but they need to develop at United before they reach that. And then players like these. I don't know whether it's a fair way to describe them, but I would call them like supplementary signings to a certain degree. Players that you absolutely wouldn't expect to come into Manchester United and become a first-team regular immediately. But players, I suppose, like Lenny Yoro is again, perfect example. If you compare Lenny Yoro now to where Lenny Yoro was 1 year ago, and the amount of development that he had at United was staggering in his first season. That's the sort of signing that I would expect either of these two players or players like this to be. Come to United, develop for a year, and maybe at the end of it and start the second season, now they're first-team players. So just keep an eye out on those. And I want United to just keep getting linked with more and more of them. Mr. Smith, a random one aside. Love that League One's primary sponsor is Mackey's. The important stuff, that's what we talk about here on the channel. It's me saying our plan to go forward that was sold to the likes of Yoro, Cunha and Booba must look great. I've spoken about that before. United are able to sell their project to new players and to young players in ways I don't think that we can properly understand as fans because we're scarred and burned by what's happened in the previous years and we can't particularly trust anything that we're seeing until we see all the results. Whereas a lot of these players, they absolutely accept the buy-in. What's going on down here? Is there no youngster at our academy coming through to the first team standard as a defensive midfield player? None that would stand out, I'd say. Not in the way that I would expect them to come into the first team environment and be able to deal with it. Obviously, Sekou Kone, the club had a lot of plans for him this season. You might have seen him break through into the first team environment, but nah, not from a replacing Casemiro perspective. I want to finish today's show by speaking about this. It's just a little random point, right? Diego Leon here, speaking about, like, for Paraguay to have a player playing at United is huge. I think for Paraguayans, they're very proud to have someone from there playing in a club as big as United. Following on from that is this from Daniel Munoz, of course, Crystal Palace's right wing back. It will be a dream for me to be able to play for a club like Barca, PSG, Real Madrid, or United. Like, the work that we did under Fergie was... It's kind of hard for us to actually comprehend at this point, because we've got... It's been 13 years since we won the league. But we really are all around the world. We're still one of, like, the top 3, 4 biggest clubs in the world. It is still an absolute dream for players like Cunha or players like Daniel Munoz. It's exactly that there, mate. Like, it doesn't matter how far we've fallen. we're still like one of the top 3, top 4 clubs in the world. Can you imagine what's going to happen when we actually do find our rhythm again? Maybe one to watch, Munoz. Maybe not. Do I think that Munoz would be a better fit for Manchester United currently than Diogo Dalot? Yes, I do. I don't think that's particularly hard. Yeah, I don't particularly think that United would move for him, but it just made me laugh. Oh, actually, I want to finish on this note. This is a perfect way to finish a show, because this is the best reference? I don't know. The best compliment you can ever get as a Manchester United player, let alone a new Manchester United player, in Sonny Lemond's getting it from Fergie. Fergie was out in Bahrain. He was just interviewed. Just not about United. He was speaking about horse racing. Maybe horsing. And he was asked about Senny, and he just complimented him. He has been outstanding. I think Senny has surprised me most with the sort of how commanding he's been, like coming and claiming crosses. Because that was I wouldn't say it was a point of concern that me and the team had in terms of the research we did. But it was sort of like, sometimes he's hesitant. Is that more down to technique, or is that more just down to a little bit of confidence? Wasn't quite sure how that was going to apply himself to the Premier League, but he's absolutely nailed it. He has been outstanding. He's yet to taste defeat in a United shirt. Is it 3 wins, 2 draws? I think so. Yeah. And if Fergie's complimenting you, then you really have had a strong start at United. So yeah, I think you'll enjoy that. Right. Any other questions? Fire them in last minute of the show. I'll answer as many of them as possibly can. This week, plans for videos. What have I got? I want to do... I think I might do a what's happening with Radek Vitek. A couple of things happened last week. And I think I might do a follow-up on that. We already did one on Harry Mass last week. I might also cover how Christian Orozco played at the Under-17s World Cup. Colombia got beat 2-0 by France, so they're out of the competition. So I might just run through how he played in the 4 games I think he played in that competition. Because, of course, he's the lad who's joining United in June. So it's just a way of you being able to keep on top of his development and see how he's playing. Might do something... I probably will do something speaking about midfielders. I'm not sure in what capacity just yet. And then... obviously, we've got the game on Monday, so we'll probably get the starting 11 out on Saturday, I'm guessing, because the game's on Monday. Alex, yeah, if I do cover Roscoe, I'll briefly mention Mantato a little bit later in that video as well. Stiller, yeah, we've got to do a Stiller video too. I think the Stiller video might be coming out this week. We'll find out. Dean, you're saying what's happened to the merch? Oh, dude. The merch was supposed to be relaunched next Monday in time for Black Friday. We've got 4, 5 new posters designed. But there's still so much bloody work to do. Again, it's just overly ambitious and understaffed. So that's probably the way I would describe the merch, hence why it's moving really, really slowly. All right? But I will get it done. I just don't know when. Thank you all for tuning in. I hope you had a cracking weekend, as I said. Please do stick around. I'll be here all week. Make sure you drop a like on the video if you're new. Take it easy.